Anyone can confirm it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's first discuss what are the weightage of themes in terms of how many questions are coming from different units. So theory and Indian sociologists, the core theorists, whether it is Ghure Srinivas, whether it is Andhra Bete, na, so these are still relevant and very much relevant in terms of direct questions as well and their application also. In terms of direct questions from the theory and Indian sociologist part, there have been number of questions have been five, which is approximately 18% of the total number of questions, which is a huge share and perhaps the highest among any of the unit. Then the colonial or a historical perspective, the impact of colonial rule on Indian society, the unit which is given in the sociology paper to syllabus. From there, total number of question is only two. The share is 7%, and it is usually similar. One question or two question, not more than that, comes from this unit. Then social change and development, four questions have been asked. Since social change is an ongoing phenomena and development is also an ongoing phenomena, so this unit will be always very important and questions will be asked where UPSC will give you a kind of a contemporary perspective. So because of that, this unit will be always relevant. Around four questions has been asked from this. Caste, tribe, and stratification. So usually, it is observed that every year one question on tribe, one question on caste, and something related on gender, which is classified as stratification or class. So, caste, tribe, and stratification, usually three questions come. Sometimes four questions have also come when they have asked multiple questions on tribe or multiple question on caste. So, more or less, the contribution of this unit has remained same since last 5 to 6 years. Then class and middle class. Okay, so middle class will remain important. And when they ask middle class, they are classifying also a different perspectives, like neo middle class. So in neo middle class, they might ask you the neo middle class women. They might ask you their work lives. They might ask you their family lives. So different perspective can be asked because this is a class which is most fluid. And this is a class, this is not class, this is classes. Who said this? Andre Bete. Andre Bete said this. If you say there is a middle class, this is a myth. Because within middle class, there are so many classes. And for one resources, they are competing. They are competing, and sometimes that competition is also very bitter. That is also not based on cooperation. So class ka jo, the central idea which is there, that it unites, which is not present in middle class. So it is not middle class, it is middle classes. And it is a very fluid class, and it also is very volatile class. So whatever changes will come now, the most diverse and quick impact will be on middle class. This is also sometimes called as wannabe rich class. Okay. So because they are now indulging in a lot of consumerism, consumer culture, and a show off culture also. So you will see that middle classes are going for big fat wedding. This is also a phenomena which I think can come next year or after that year. But this phenomena of hyperlapse consumerism this year is also invited a question, and every year this will be very relevant. Like in work and economic life, informalization has remained a very important topic because informalization will keep on going. The gig economy has intensified the process. It is not going anywhere. So this will remain relevant. Then gender and family. So family is going through a transformation. Gender is also going through transformation, not only in terms of men and women, but a third gender concept which is gaining traction. It is not a new concept because it is not something artificially made. If you see the scriptures also, there have been mentions of kinnars and so many other things which you can observe. Even in the Mahabharata, there was one character known as Shikhandi. Okay, so this is not something new, but now their rights are getting asserted. Now they are getting recognized. So gender will also remain relevant. And when they will ask, that there is a gender stratification or any such question, don't just analyze men, women. Also give their perspective. If you want to get half marks, 1 marks extra, prepare their perspective. prepare a few case studies. There are case studies on the analysis of how they are getting impacted, their family life, their recognition part of marriage. Okay, everything is something which can attract a question. So you have to give a good eye to it, a good concentration to it, because it will remain relevant. Another unit is village, agrarian, or rural economy. Since our India has a large proportion of rural economy and rural areas, so this will remain relevant. When the village, agrarian, rural economy comes, then a most important part, politically and socially, agriculture is something they have asked questions a lot of time on land tenure system as well. Many times they have asked. And they have asked questions on MSP also, green chemistry also, and their impact on agriculture. A lot of questions has been asked, cooperative farming. So this will remain important and relevant, and the themes are getting repeated every year. Okay. So 3 questions is a good number. Labor, migration, informal sector. This unit peaked during COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of questions came on migration, a lot of questions came on informal sector. But this will remain relevant because migration is a phenomena which is not going to stop because of the developmental deficit, because of the developmental inequality between two states, within states, among caste, among gender, among language, among religion. So this will remain relevant and you have to prepare it well. Informal sector will come in paper one, paper two, both. And this is equally important for both the papers. Then law, policy, social problems. So social problems India has many. And law and policies will also attract a few questions. They have asked in past some of the schemes as well directly. So that is nothing but part of policy. Law means some legal changes, like new education policy is also part of a policy. Okay, so what is the impact of it? That has been asked in the past also. Now that they had asked a umbrella question on education. So this will also remain important and 3 questions have been asked. Aging and elderly, because our society is becoming more and more uh, uh, elderly dominated and it will peak around 2050. So they had asked once a question that active aging is a global goal. I think that was asked in 2019. And they are asking now every alternate year some or other question. This year they had asked question related to geriatric care. So this will remain important. Anything society is moving towards will become important for sociology since it's a dynamic topic, dynamic paper. It's not like anthropology that most of the things are static. It's a very dynamic subject and you need to be responsive to it. Specifically the section C. Then political mobilization. One question has come every year. One question, one or another question will come. New social movement, caste-based movement, Dalit politics, environmental movements, ecofeminism, जिसमें आता है ना, there is a sub part of ecofeminism. Then women movements. There will be a lot of questions. At least one question out of these will come. They have asked questions on backward class movements also in the past. So the contour is set. People, if they tell you that sociology paper 2 cannot be tackled, it's completely dynamic, they are telling you something which is false. It can be prepared. 75 to 80% theme can be easily prepared beforehand. And what are the themes which are getting repeated every year? What are the evergreen themes? These are evergreen core themes like caste, class, tribe, continuity of question on mobility, conflicts, and identity formation. You see now from 2019 some or other question is coming on identity as well. So these topics will keep on surfacing every year. Gender and family, reform movements, patriarchy, kinship, marriage laws, and new issues like same-sex marriage or cohabitation is very, very important. Agrarian and village studies. They had asked straight away questions on village studies and how the village studies change the colonial notions of village. That was also asked. Apart from it, SC Dubey's study was straight away asked. Land transfer or land tenure system was asked. Agrarian class system, how it is going under transformation. Post globalization. Now, Malik Kisan Mazdoor, you must have read the classification given by Horner. Okay. Uh, then rural industries, village studies, na, Srinivas, Dubey, Shah. These three have done a major study, and they had studies the different impacts on the village areas as well. They had also studied the kinship patterns in village areas, specifically Shah. So this is very, very important. These are core theories. And even if you want to attempt any kind of a dynamic question without the knowledge of these, you won't be able to do justice. Then labor and migration. So informal economy, forced displacement. Displacement has been asked from multiple angles. One of the question that they are asking is the developmental induced displacement, which is straight away mentioned, okay, and has come many times. One of the question that can come is also based on the developmental deficit and displacement. Okay, but this is called as migration. Displacement will be now more or less post. Okay, so disaster prone, or if some infrastructure project like Narmada Bachao Andolan happened. Why? Because a large dam was constructed. Because of the construction of that large dam, a large number of people was displaced, but they were not given, first of all, a due compensation. Compensation was just looked from one frame, that some piece of land has been taken and we have to pay the money of that land. But what about a person living in a society? In a village, a person is attached to rivers, mountains. You must have read about ecofeminism. In ecofeminism, the concept is that the women, they get attached to the mountains, rivers, like they are their brothers. Yeah, they are their own. So what about that? What about the cultural shock? So this is not never accounted. And what about the loss of job, loss of employment? So displacement is in India is just seen as that you pay some money and that's it. So this has been brought up by several sociologists, and this is a very, very important thing, and you need to prepare it. Okay. Then migrant crisis. So migrants now, there were so many concepts given. One of the concept was given was known as footloose labor. A footloose labor is what? So if at all a factory is functioning in an area, suddenly there is a requirement due to a festival, say for example Diwali, they are manufacturing lights. So now migrant laborers are like a standby. They will call them for 15 days, 20 days, they will work and then they will be kicked out. So they are footloose labor. They don't have their identity. They don't have a fixed work. They don't have a fixed place to sleep. So it is called as a concept of footloose labor. So migrants go through a lots of crisis. And again here, there is a there is an angle of gender as well. So a migrant woman naturally faces a lots of discrimination even more than men. Why? Because they are more vulnerable, because they are not more empowered. Even if they are if they are harassed, many a times they don't even speak. So, and many a times they don't have enough resources or social capital to fight against a person who is all powerful. So they become even more now subjected to all sorts of activities which wants to impact her honor as well. So this has been studied by many of the feminist scholars like Veena Majumdar, like Leela Dubey. So they had studied this. There are many more feminist scholars of India who have studied these things in great detail, and they are very, very important. Those theories have a wide application on any kind of a dynamic question. The theories will remain same. It won't happen that you have to apply everything new. The more you are comfortable with your core concepts, the more you will score even in the dynamic and contemporary questions. So you have to focus on these theories. Apart from it, political mobilization, electoral changes, regionalism, Dalit Bahujan politics. Dalit Bahujan politics will be always important. Why? Because the condition of Dalit has not changed drastically in the country. Still, they are being localized into tasks which are considered impure or menial. You see the presence of manual scavenging. Majority of manual scavengers, or 100%, not majority, 100% of manual scavengers are from Dalit community. You see any kind of activity like if you are seeing you know, sweepers, they see the percentage of Dalits who are concentrated there. Also, time to time, they will be mobilized based on the demand of reservation, protecting the reservation, or based on the demand of challenging some kind of a law as well. Like Atrocity Act, na, there were sudden changes brought by the Honorable Supreme Court. So there was a nationwide movement. So at that time, this question was asked. So you need to understand that something which is a pressing problem will always attack the question. Regionalism is a pressing problem. You because the diversity of India is such, and there is also a lot of biasness in our society towards other people. Now, when we go to USA, we feel that we are being discriminated and the brown people are being discriminated. But how much we discriminate our own people in our own country? This is something which gets unnoticed. So if a person, an Indian, is living in Delhi, coming from Northeast, they are told names such that they are a foreigner. They are told Chinese. So are they Chinese? So what kind of a racial slur is this? So in India itself, the racial remarks and the divide, the lingual, the caste divide, the region divide, or the religious divide is so much that regionalism will surface. huh? It will surface. It will surface in different forms, and you are witnessing it. So it will be important. Communalism will be also important. Then social problems and policy. Social problems. So what are the social problems? See, child labor is a pressing problem. Poverty and hunger is a pressing problem. है Slumification is a pressing social problem. Uh, the dowry deaths, acid attack, honor killing. Huh? These are what? These are social problems. Child trafficking, this is a social problem. Drug trafficking is a social problem. Juvenile delinquency is a social problem. So these are, or increasing rate of suicide is a social problem. These are the only dimensions which UPSC can ask. They cannot ask something out of blue. What is happening in the society? What you and me are witnessing? That is only will be asked by UPSC. Nothing will come from the stars. Nothing will be fall from stars that they will ask something out of the blue. No. If you are preparing in a manner where you are analyzing the previous year questions and seeing the themes carefully, there is a lot of wordplay, but the crux remains same. There is a pattern. There is a pattern even in sociology paper too. But what happens is, sadly, we give a lot of time for sociology paper one, and we take paper two taken for granted. ये तो हो जाएगा. This is easy. This can be done in 30 days. People say, you can complete in sociology paper 2 in 20 days. There is no theory. There is a lot of theory. You need to prepare all the evergreen themes. You need to prepare everything diligently. And there is a pattern. Based on that pattern, you need to prepare everything beforehand. Nothing magical will happen in the classroom. I can bet you with my all experience of giving 5 minutes, I know there is a lot of pressure, lots of pressure. So whatever you have practiced many times, whatever you have revised many times, that only will go uh, with you in the examination hall. Nothing new will come. Okay. So poverty, child labor, aging, education may be now, because since our education system is also redundant with stratification, redundant with inequality, and redundant with a problem of uh, unequal social capital leading to unequal cultural capital, the concept given by Pire Bourdieu, the cultural reproduction. So our education system is also marred. Also, our education system is unable to give employment or skill. So this will be something which will come up because it is not going to change. Sustainable development will remain a very important part, because since development, planned economy is also part, environment is part, so sustainable development will be part of the sociology paper too, and it's a very important पोर्शन. चलो अब देखते हैं theoretical and ना एक एक themes उठाते हैं and what has been asked in sociology paper 2 in the 2025. So, in terms of theoretical and conceptual foundation, what is the foundation of sociology paper 2? So, textual perspective in understanding Indian social system. So, what is textual perspective? Textual perspective is book view. A book view is that you are seeing society just in terms of what has been written in the scriptures, what has been written in the historical documents. You are not going and doing field studies. You are not going and studying the ground reality. This is called as textual perspective. So, this is important. And then Indology is also more or less a textual perspective. There is a lot of book view. G.S. Gure doesn't went to the ground and studied everything. It was Hemant Srinivas. He went to villages and then he studied. Okay. Second is orthogenetic changes through differentiation and continuities. What is orthogenetic? What is heterogenetic? There is something called as internal and there is something called as external. So if you have studied the theory of Vai Singh, Yogendra Singh, So he has given a complete theory, which is also like a chemical formula, modernization of Indian tradition. He had mixed all the theory, little tradition, great tradition, orthogenetic changes, heterogenetic changes, macro changes, micro changes. He has encapsulated the entire idea of social change and has made a grand salad like Talcott Parsons. So if you understand his theory, you understand everything. Okay. So this orthogenetic is something coming from within. Okay. So now how it is going through changes or how it is differentiating is something being asked every time. G.S. Gure as a practitioner of theoretical pluralism has been asked. But just see last 10 years paper and see how many times G.S. Gure has come. Why it is said that theoretical pluralism was practiced by G.S. Gure? Because he had taken lots of things. He had taken anthropological perspective as well, diffusionist perspective. He had taken a lots of perspective and mixed it together. That is why he is called as a practitioner of theoretical pluralism. Like since the development of sociology in India was done in a great scale by G.S. Kure. That is why he's called as the father of Indology as well. So he had taken a lots of theories. He was inspired from W.H.R. Rivers also, a very prominent sociologist or anthropologist. See, sociologist, anthropologists now, many of the sociologists are also anthropologists. Many of the anthropologists are also sociologists because there is a lots of things in common. The areas or the subject to study many a times they converge. Okay, so he was inspired from him. His concept of caste is also diffusionist. So caste came from how it came from Gangetic Valley and spread across the India. So he gave the idea of diffusionism there also. Okay. So he took multiple perspective, integrated it, and that's why the question was asked. But if you have prepared G.S. Gure, how he studied, what was his theoretical background, and what theoretical background he has utilized for different kinds of studies. If you have prepared it well, his views on caste, his views on village, his views on even urbanization, he has given his views on urbanization, his view on religion and sadhus. He has written a book. And I think there was a question also, state question came from G.S. Gure's Indian Sadhu book. So Indian Sadhu book is a very, very relevant and very important book. So he challenged the notions of the Metcalfes and other colonial thinkers. So he's very, very important, and questions will come almost every year. There is a question on Indology of GS Korea. Then industrial class structure as a function of Indian social structure. So there are different class structures. Okay, and this is something which is given in the syllabus itself. So you need to prepare what is Indian class structure, industrial class structure, how it emerged. Now, what are the changes we are seeing? Okay, what are the characteristics? What is the criticism? So this is your part of syllabus. So questions will come from industrial class structure as well. Then nation building and role of religion. Since religion occupies a center stage. So there was question on the Renaissance as well in past. So Renaissance is nothing but nation building. So this is just a wordplay. So what you had studied in Renaissance was also part of the making of nation. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Swami Vivekanand, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, they also played a part in nation building. And you can here utilize the concept of Indian sadhus given by G.S. Gure as well. Like the first social movement that happened at a good scale during the British time period was Sannyasi rebellion. Sannyasi rebellion was again done by religious people, the saints. They had organized it. So you need to know understand things carefully. If you are understanding things carefully, if you are reading one concept many times, then you will be able to attempt it now with ease. But if you are reading 1,000 pages, 2,000 pages, 3,000 pages, and you think that when you will go in the examination hall and you will remember everything, that won't happen. Sadly, that never happens. So you need to understand this, that reading one thing many times and seeing the pattern and adapting it according to what UPSC is asking, and not any particular coaching or not any particular tutor, but what UPSC is asking. If you are following the pattern of UPSC, this paper can be tackled and you can score 140, 150 as well in Sociology Paper 2 as well. So trend is that every year approximately 5 questions and direct theories are asked and plus Indian application. prepare major Indian sociologists like Gure, Srinivas, Karve, D.P. Mukherjee. These are no major thinkers. Major thinkers has been provided, and those thinkers should be covered. Iravati Karve is very important. She has been no, has done a very comprehensive study. Yeah, and she has been quoted at many places. The importance is such that I think in 2020, Iravati Karve was asked in Sociology Paper 1 also. So that is so prominent theory. You need to cover it well. This is a low hanging fruit, and you can score 75% as well. Yogendra Singh, I told you, Yogendra Singh, eight, no, there was a time that every year Vising was coming. Every year Vising was coming. Because theory is such a wide. I have read the original books also. Orange color ka book is there, not very bulky. Modernization of Indian tradition. You don't need to study. I have studied and I've inculcated that in model answers as well as the notes that I am posting. So that has been inculcated. So he has given a comprehensive analysis of how Indian tradition is changing. Okay? That is the concept that you need to understand. Also, the concept of Sanskritization is very important. Even if they are not asking directly, when they when they will ask you orthogenetic change, when they will ask you how caste system is undergoing a transformation, again you will test the concept of Sanskritization. Even consumer culture, the consumer culture also has an impact of Sanskritization. How so? What was traditionally wore by, or what was the lifestyle of traditionally the Brahmins, now is also adopted by many other castes. But Brahmins are going through westernization. They were the first one to go through westernization. And the other caste went through Sanskritization first. Now you can see in the erstwhile depressed caste signs of both Sanskritization as well as westernization. So Sanskritization as a concept has a wide application, and this is something which you need to prepare it well. Secularization concept also. So in India, secularization is not like Europe, that it is going in a linear fashion. That there was a dark ages, there came Renaissance, and then the authority of church declined, and a linear process of secularization happened. Here, even if secularization will come, even if the role of religion will reduce, there will be a reaction because religion is part and parcel of Indian society. Britishers were doing lots of nonsense. Britishers were trying to torture the people. When did people awaken? People awaken when the Britishers try to meddle with the religion. When they said that you need to wear this, that, this hat, you can't put tilak and all of this sort, this was an igniting point. And when 1857 revolt happened, they took a notice. They refrained themselves from any kind of a social legislation and interfering in religion. And this was not one-off thing. There have been range of tribal revolts happened because of meddling with religion. And the Nellore mutiny, the spark point was again this. So the religion is not like something part of a spirituality only in India. It is a way of life. It is a way of life. So if you go in Odisha, if you greet anyone, they will say you Jai Jagannath. So religion is a part and parcel. If you go to North India, let's say like states of Haryana or Western UP, they will say you Ram Ram. This is a greeting. Okay. So religion is part and parcel and dominating every aspect of life in Indian society. Okay, that is why the process of secularization is not one way. What was discussed by Steve Bruce or Brian Wilson in Sociology Paper 1, here the things are different. The problem for minorities also is something which is coming many times. There is a study of Jagannath Pati, and he had done a beautiful study on the problems of minority, and that is also very important. Again, the second unit, colonial impact and historical changes. So the colonial policies for tribe and socio-economic conditions is something this has come in GS1 also. This is important for GS1 too. Now, how the colonial policy, where they look the forest as some commodity from where they can earn money. Okay. They made the entire policy in such a manner that they can just extract resources. They can just extract money out of it. So, what happened after that? What was the reaction? You see the Santal revolt that has happened, done by Pahadiyas. Why it happened? when they try to meddle with everything, when they try to meddle with the relation between a forest and a tribe, a relationship between a forest and a tribe again is not something just based on sustenance. It is part and parcel of their culture. Jal, Jangal, Jameen is not something which is just a commodity for them. They are not ran by capitalism. They are run by culture, emotion. And that is why you will see that in the tribal society, the colonial policies impacted even now. Why? Because there was continuity. The forest rights which were taken away, the forest rights which were taken away by Britishers were not restored until 2004-5. And until now, if you see a lot of case studies given in Sociology Paper 2, the rights have not been completely transferred to the tribes. That is why it is very, very important to study this. Then British economic reforms disrupting old Indian system. So it disrupted completely. It disrupted completely everything, and this has been one of the core thing aspect which you need to cover. It disrupted the traditional relationship of Jajmani system. So there was a Jajmani system in which everything was based on the reciprocal relationship. Okay, reciprocal relationship is what? That Malik and the Mazdoor. So Mazdoor will work in the field. He will give his labor, and at the end of the day, a part of all the crops which is harvested, a part of it will be given to Mazdoor. And there was a barter system even between artisan and the Malik. So they used to give again the the produce, and they used to get in return all sorts of utensils, etc., which was made by artisan. So a reciprocal relationship was replaced by a capitalist relationship through the systems like Zamindari system or permanent settlement, Mahalwari system, Devtawari settlement or system. So that transformed the entire relationship, yeah, the reciprocal and the traditional relationship. A.R. Desai has talked about it. A.R. Desai has talked at length about it. He has a beautiful theory, social background of Indian nationalism, and his theory of how the material change has led to the peasant movements or farmers movement is something which is very, very important, and you need to cover it. You need to cover it really, really in depth. Okay. Then now UPSC loves a post-colonial continuity, and this is something which you can see. One or two question will come every year. So always prepare colonial impact on caste, agrarian structure, tribes, and urbanization. So the modern concept of urbanization, because now they built the white towns. They built something called as the white town and black town. You must have went to cities, different cities, and see a common thing called as civil lines. So what was that? Civil lines was constructed by Britishers, a white town in which officers etc. used to live. British officers and British employees they used to live. So if you go to any city, you go to Delhi, you go to Allahabad, you go to the southern cities, you will see here and there civil lines. That is the concept of white town. Because traditionally, though, this was not the way the urbanization used to happen. Traditionally, there were markets, so market towns used to develop. Now, those places where markets were there, that developed as something as hearts, heart bolte hain, na hearts. So that developed as a city. That was considered as city. But different kinds of cities developed during the colonial period. One was the railway towns. So there were so many places like Sikandrabad. Sikandrabad is not a place which was a traditionally urban center. It developed as a railway town. Same goes with Itarsi in Madhya Pradesh. So these are railway towns. Then there were certain cities which were established, of course, by Britishers, like textile industry in uh, erstwhile Kanpur, which is now known as Kanpur. Okay, so that developed as a town. Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu was developed by Britishers. Then there were certain cities developed as forts, forts of factories. Now, factories means the place from where they used to regulate everything related to trade was called as fort. So there was Fort William in Calcutta, Fort St. George in Chennai. So different forts were established by Britishers, not only Britishers, but other colonial powers as well. Like Arika Medu was developed as Pondicherry by French. Okay, so now all these changes happened when the colonial masters came to India, and this is very very important. Then social change, modernization, and development. Okay, so Indian tradition, how it is getting modernized, the contributing factors of it. There are so many factors. See, first, so, in terms of India, there is a kind of a traditional modernization. I think this concept was given by K. Sharma as well, and there are lot many thinkers who had talked about it. Like tradition is also going, and modern things are also coming. Like even if you go to McDonald's, what you eat? You eat a burger in which there is onion. You go to anywhere in the world, there is no onion. There is no aloo tikki when you go abroad, any other country. This is not how McDonald makes a burger or whatever you wear in daily life. But when your marriage will happen or something of a cultural function or festival, what you will wear? You will wear ethnic. So tradition will go and everything. Right from your, if you build a new house, you will do Grah Pravesh. What is this? Again, tradition is there. Tradition is regulating. When you will do matchmaking, what you will do? You will have matchmaking. Matchmaking is again tradition. So tradition will play a vital role. Tradition will be there, but there is also modernization. How there is a modernization? The changing family, the concept given by Talcott Parsons, isolated nuclear family. This is rising in India. How it is rising in India? There have been certain cities developed as urban center. Post LPG reforms, what happened was that service sector got a traction because India didn't had the requisite groundwork which should have been done for manufacturing sector because India had not invested a lot in human development like China. India had not invested a lot in skill sector. So there was a no, first of all, the upper caste, English educated upper caste, they got benefited through a nascent service sector. Regulations were also damn easy to be governed in service sector, and initially the taxation was also low. So what happened was that there were certain cities that developed as service sector dominated cities, which is now known as IT cities in India. So the cities like Bangalore, which was traditionally also dominated by public sector enterprises, became IT city. Hyderabad, Pune, Noida, Gurugram, they developed as a IT hub. Now, a person studying in Odisha, doing engineering from Kalinga University, now is now migrating to Bangalore to do job. Now, if he would have lived in Cuttack, so he would have a joint family also. It is possible. There would be a close kinship relationship. But now, when he is traveling or she is traveling to Bangalore, there will be an isolated nuclear family. But still, there will be a kind of a jointness. How? M.N. Srinivas again said that when you go to urban centers, when you go to urban cities, you have to also see the inflation. And to control the inflation or to cope up with inflation, you can't control, you can cope up with inflation. Both the partners are working. When both the partners are working, will take care of child. So now to take care of child, parents are coming to the cities. So a kind of jointness is being developed. This was said by Amin Srinivas back in 1950s and 60s. So that's how a visionary sociologist tell about things which will happen in future. That is how they predict things. That is how they study things. Okay, so that contributing factors are many. I told you the LPG reforms, the employment, the educational also. You see the number of engineering colleges. So why I'm telling the example of engineering or no, management or something like this because now post LPG reform service sector jobs were created and it required a certain skill set. It required a certain education. So there was a boom in engineering colleges and demand for studying engineering in India. And these engineering colleges also developed in certain pockets in huge number. I think, if I'm not wrong, the highest number of engineering graduates are being produced by Tamil Nadu. Then Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh has a huge number of engineering colleges in India. So again, to study also, most of the people are migrating to these states. So education, employment is two factors. Apart from it, technology, social media, digital technology. It is also contributing towards modernization. Huh? You see that if you, now when I travel to the different places of country, I go through the village areas as well. I just see the hoardings. So 2016-17, whatever hoardings I used to see in village areas, and now whatever hoardings I am seeing. So I saw transformation. Initially, there were the local uh, posters, etc. Hoardings were there, local products. Like if you are traveling via the villages of Tamil Nadu, you will see a lot of hoardings of cultural festivals and cultural hoardings. You will see a lot of this political hoardings are also there. But now, if you will go, you will see things like flat is available here. You will see gym hoardings. You will see hoardings of salons and beauty parlors, even in semi-urban areas, small villages. Now people are going to a gym. This is nothing but the aspect of modernization. So if you observe things, if you are a student of sociology, and if you observe things, you can see minute changes. You can see the changing pattern of fooding habits in village areas. So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you won't find a Chinese stalls in huge number in village areas. Now you will see everything, every Chinese product, every type of stalls, even in the village. And even in the small villages, these things can be observed. Okay. And also the number of people, youths wearing jeans, wearing t-shirts, Western attires, blue jeans is also increasing. So now every nook and corner, it is getting impacted by modernization. The next question was on agrarian class structure and modern forces. How agrarian class structure is getting changed? See, now in India, there is a complete study done by many sociologists, and one of the common point among them is that in India there is no one agrarian class structure. There is a differentiation. In Bihar, still the feudal agrarian structure is there. In states like Andhra Pradesh, states like Haryana, Punjab, capitalist structure has also come. In some of these states, semi-feudal structure is also there. So there is no one type of change in terms of agrarian class structure. And modernity is also impacting differently. The capitalist agrarian class structure, like Punjab, like Haryana, like Andhra Pradesh, is going through a rapid transformation due to modern forces. You will see now there is a concept of na, depeasantization of labor given by Vibha Arora. So what is happening is that now due to having large scale machines by these capitalist states, the traditional laborers who are doing these kinds of sustainable small farming also, they are not able to compete because of the sheer scale. And why there is a transfer there is a differentiation in India? Because the land holding was different. The- When Green Revolution, the question of Green Revolution came, people went and analyzed, and Lal Bahadur Shastri also was analyzing how to quickly make India sustainable. Everyone was saying different things to him. But one thing which was common was that things should be done quickly. So now the Green Revolution or that modern technology which can make us India sustainable in food, where it can be done quickly, who can adopt it quickly. So the average land holding size was analyzed, and due to that, the Punjab, the Haryana, the Western UP, where average land size, holding size was more, was chosen. Everything has a reason. If you see the average land holding in Bihar, it is less than 1 hectare. Average land holding in India is less, but Bihar is least. Okay, so having any kind of a mechanization is very difficult in handkerchief size holding. My students who are part of my GS mentorship know this keyword. I had discussed this in GS3 also. And it's important in sociology as well. Only difference in sociology is that here you have to use sociology term and sociological thinkers. That's it. The analysis remains same. But the point which you are making, you will say, yes, this is said by Viva Arora as well. But these are common observations. You give your weight to answer. Like you use data, you use different kinds of committees, constitutional articles in different general study. Here you use thinkers. Here you use examples, social examples. Data also you use, but these are the core things which makes any answer sociological. Okay. So urbanization trend is industrialization the only precondition for urbanization? No, yeah. Urbanism is a way of life. Is Bihar different small villages? Are they industrialized? No. But urban way of life is still visible there. It's not a precondition. Louis Wirth ने तो concept ही यही दिया. The concept which was given by Louis Wirth was what? That urbanization is not having urban centers, is not having census town ka definition. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. Okay. Sustainable development in India issues and measures. So now, first of all, you need to prepare this topic very well. Sustainable development में both the concepts comes into play. Development and sustainable में environment. So the both types of thinkers and theories will be applicable. Prepare this beforehand. Sustainable development we will also cover. We will also give question, but this is a hot topic and this will come again and again. Trend post 2018, more questions linked to structural changes with modern policies and globalization. There will be questions because India is rapidly transforming. Once there was a kind of a digital revolution, internet penetration increased in India. Okay. Then the D part, caste, tribe, and social stratification. So caste, tribe, and social stratification, as I said, one question will come from caste, one from tribe, one from social stratification. So measures to prevent caste conflicts. What measures can be done? There are so many things which has been given in your sociology syllabus as well. Amartya Sen has also said many things. But one thing which was said by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is cornerstone to the study. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, if you want to now arrest caste conflicts, what you need to do? You need to decrease the authority of scriptures. He gave the concept of annihilation of caste. He said that caste is beyond repair. This is one of the cornerstone theory. Gandhiji also said about caste conflicts. So he said that there needs to be a change of heart from upper caste. His idea was utopian. Of course, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had experienced this. First-hand experience was there. So his view was based on that. There are other people also. M.S. Gore, Amartya Sen has talked at length about it, and you can also quote certain examples for this. You can also quote certain case studies, like how caste conflicts was reduced in the states like Kerala, how it was reduced, how socialist policies empowered everyone, how the investment in human development reduced caste conflict. Because caste conflicts are also related with unequal development. Inequality among the resources between different castes fuels the caste conflict. So you will see in most unequally distributed resources among upper and lower caste, you will see a lot of caste conflicts. If you go to Uttar Pradesh, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, if you go to Bihar, you will see a lot of caste conflict. Why? Because there is unequal distribution of resources among the upper and lower caste, which is sharp. Unequal distribution is present in all over India, but the difference is very sharp in these places. So you can write certain case studies also, and you can write certain constitutional angles as well. What constitution has done. You can also write the concept of constitutional morality, because constitutional morality is also part of sociology. I think they have asked even in sociology once. Dalit movements and identity formation. Identity formation is something. Identity is fluid. What is identity? So now, when I asked you, okay, Tanu, introduce yourself. So you will use certain identity markers in your introduction also. Now, from right from where you live, your gender, everything is an identity. Okay, even if you are a student, is an identity. So identity formation is something which is important, and they have asked the dynamism of identity also. Like if you belong to lower caste, you're living in rural areas, and when you went to a urban area, still that identity you are carrying, because the lower caste people, erstwhile lower caste people, are living in more in slums. So again, the slum has become the identity of subaltern perspective. Subaltern perspective of Ranajit was asked by the UPSC as well, direct. Ranjit Guha or some name is there. I'm forgetting the name. I think this only is the name. Was directly asked by UPSC also. What is subaltern perspective? Analyzing society from the lens of the people who are the deprived or depressed. Okay. So they are analyzing societies. You will see a lot of cultural development also of pop culture, like rap culture. So rap is what? You will see a lot of social problems they discuss. You see, you hear any kind of a rap. I am following rap since its inception in United States in mid 1990s. It was invented. So when I was very very small, I used to hear the raps of Tupac, etc. People who were the founding fathers. So they used to say about the inequality, the social inequality between the whites and the blacks. Like one of the rap was saying that whites have a big houses and a black who is living in front of his house is not having even a piece of bread. How heartless you are to not even give a bread. How heartless you are to make such a big house when there are so many people in poverty. So this is the rap culture. You will see even in India, particularly the rap of people like Divine. So he is also showcasing the social problems which are there. But often the mainstream culture, often the culture and the art of upper caste, like Shastriya Sangeet, something sophisticated, will ridicule the subaltern culture as something as not so valued, na, khokhla, empty. Okay, they will be not so fancy as well. So you will often see that people coming from the elite class, they will ridicule all the pop culture and the pop things, the pop way of living, which is coming from the subaltern perspective as something inferior. Okay. Then constitutional provisions and socio-political changes for SC/ST, and this is very, very important. So there were constitutional provisions, but what has they brought? If they could not brought the desired changes, what was the reason? Here comes the sociological thinkers. They have talked in length. Gail Amrit is one of the main subaltern perspective thinker in India. And she's also an intersectionalist thinker. She's talking about women. She's talking about the depressed caste as well. She's talking about everything. Okay. Nah. So this is something which you need to understand, which you need to understand that you need to not see any of the topic in isolation. Everything is interrelated. Okay. So repeated every year, caste, mobility, conflicts, identity politics, every year it is getting repeated. And you should connect to contemporary issues like caste census. It was covered in our current series also, reservation debates, SC/ST, atrocities. So I will tell you how to maintain current affairs notes as well, or how to arrest current affairs topics as well at last. Class and middle class. Okay, new Indian middle class was the old middle class. What is the difference? See, the traditional Indian middle class was not risk taking. They were risk averse. They were risk averse. They were not trying to take a risk. They were more of a saving oriented. They were more of a job oriented. They were not that suffering from fetishism of commodity. Also, the old middle class, the position of women was of homemaker only. Here, there is a dual role. Okay. So, how the new Indian middle class is also aspiring to gain social mobility sooner, and they are very aspiring class. But also, the new Indian middle class doesn't have any kind of social solidarity. Okay. Also, you need to talk about the Tamateshan said that they are the torch bearers. So they are the torch bearers in terms of social changes. So whenever middle class will come on ground, then only you will see a change on ground. Why? Because the people who are among lower strata, even if they come, how many days they can come on road? If they come on road for one day, they are earning every day some money to have meal. So they cannot do that. Rich class is not affected. They have lots of money. They are not impacted by any kind of such kind of a small changes or shocks or unemployment or any kind of a thing. So it is middle class when they will come in India against corruption movement, when they will come in movement related to Hawala transaction. When they will come on ground, then only there will be social changes. They are the ones who will file petitions. They are the ones who will file PIL. So their role is very, very important. But there is a criticism also that they are marked by the uh, religious sentiments more, lack rationality, lacks there is a concept given by Dipankar Gupta, Westoxication of middle class, Indian middle class. What is that? You often will see that people are so oriented towards Western attire. They are so oriented towards Western attire. They are so oriented towards a Western way of living in terms of just foods, clothes, houses, this and that. But what about values? Their values are still those feudal values, unequal values. What about that? Okay. So they're not moved by the modern values. That is why Dipankar Gupta said that Indian middle class is West toxicated. This is a very, very important concept. Mind you, my dear friends, this is the concept which you have to use in next year paper. It's very, very important. Dipankar Gupta has given a lot of things. Dipankar Gupta has also said a very good, given a very good concept that there is no one hierarchy. Now, if you go to Haryana, you ask from a person coming from Jat, and you say that you belong to a depressed caste and Brahmins are on top. They won't say. They will say that Brahmins are idle, and they are someone who are not working hard. We are at the top in their imagination, in their hierarchy, they are at the top. So he said that there are multiple hierarchies, there are multiple rituals, and each caste is maintaining their own ritual, their own conception. So this is also a concept given by Dipankar Gupta. Dipankar Gupta is still working, so his concepts will have a contemporary relevance more and more. Okay, middle class is evergreen. Earlier PYQs ना consumerism 2016 में भी आया था, and this is important for next year also, and it will be important. Globalization class, new middle class will come again and again. You need to prepare it. ठीक है? ये थोड़े सर्वे है, Pew survey. I cover it in sociology current series also, NCAR, CSTS. They give a lot of things. Like Pew survey has also talked about the religious divide. ठीक है? So Pew survey also does lots of surveys and collects data. ठीक है? So I will give you clarity. Do not worry. Now, people who are part of my mentorship and following me regularly, I will give you absolute clarity on what needs to be done, what not needs to be done, what are the traps. If you'll follow me, your coming journey in the 2026 mains will be smooth. Okay. Now, another very important thing, gender and family. So, which reform movement uplifted women most? ये तो बहुत ही subjective question है. But ना कभी भी ऐसे questions आए तो do not take a stand that this movement uplifted most. You say that every kind of a no, the women movement that happened had their pros and cons, and that has been analyzed by different sociological thinkers. Use them instead of saying yes, I think Me Too movement had done most. No, this is not the way you have to write these answers. You are not here to give interview. You are here to write a very good quality answer, and then you will be able to do analysis properly. Each of the movement has their own pros and cons. How you can say that this uplifted women most? Okay. Same-sex marriages and population dynamics. So same-sex marriages and population dynamics, you need to understand what is same-sex marriage and how it is related to the population dynamics, how it is related to the changing dynamics of family, how it is related to the changing dynamics of marriage, how it is also related to the changing dynamics of gender. Because gender में क्या? That central point of gender is that women are supposed to take care at home, take care of home, domestic services she will give, caregiving role she will give, procreation is her ultimate work, ultimate role. But when there is same-sex marriage, that central idea of man-women differentiation, which was talked at length by functionally scholars, just go for a toss. So how it is impacting, you need to understand the concept in great detail, and it will come every now and then. It's as important. We will ask question on this, and this we will cover in notes also because it is very important. Kinship, GP Murdoch's contribution. GP Murdoch has immense contribution It has been, I think, covered not in great detail, but it is covered in Nitin Singhania Sangwan in Sociology Paper 1 also. So the Murdoch has in anthropology, though it is covered in great detail. So that this is something important. And even if you read it and it is not coming directly, the use is immense. So trend is gender family question appear every year. Patriarchy, women, movement, kinship movements are something kinship systems, not movement, are very, very important. Now let's discuss about village, agrarian, rural economy. So village studies and the pioneers of that is something which is very, very important. Village studies will come every year. Okay, every year village studies will come here and there. Either they will ask you a state question on Andhra Bete, either they will ask you a state question on the MN Srinivas study of Rampura village, either they will ask you a state question on SC Dubey, or they will ask you a general question on village studies. Anything can be asked. The decline of village industries is something they had asked. So it is related. No, you have to take a evolutionary approach. So यहाँ पे सब use हो जाएगा. Everything will be used. The impact of colonial policies will also be used. This is a very comprehensive question. You have to take an evolutionary perspective. And then you have to also discuss how in the present time something sort of now personalized manufacturing, handicraft is gaining traction. The role played by TriFed, the role played by government initiatives. You can talk about that. There are Hunar Hearts as well, which is being organized. Thoda sa, you are writing civil services now, so you have to also talk a little bit when you are talking about social problems. Before concluding, you can write a bit of schemes and policies also. This will give you another half marks or 1 marks. Okay. Then transfer of land from cultivators to non-cultivators and what is the social change brought by this. I discussed earlier also when I was discussing about the rural agrarian system. So prepare Srinivas Dubey, Qatar Singh is also one of the sociologists, but Dubey, Srinivas, Andhra should be prepared really, really well. And current themes like agrarian crisis, farm-based, rural-urban migration is something which is important. ठीक है इसके अलावा लेबर माइग्रेशन एंड इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर तो प्रॉब्लम ऑफ लेबर माइग्रेंट्स इन इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर ये दोनों देखो ना रिलेटेड है माइग्रेंट लेबर्स आर वर्किंग मोस्टली इन इनफॉर्मल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन व्हाई इनफॉर्मल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वांट्स person who can work for long hours person who can work in less wages ठीक है person who can work despite having lack of social security and can be harassed ठीक है harassed means pressurized for work so who can do this best a migrant who is vulnerable. Localites won't do these tasks at this cost. Okay. So a lot of hate is also no, shown by the local people, but the type of tasks that they do at such a low cost cannot be done by the localites as much as migrants can do. Okay. So this is something related, and here gender is also comes to play because see, women's are not skilled. Women's are not skilled in India because they are not provided education in equal footing. Even if you see the middle class families, if they have one girl child, one male child, they will have the urge of giving male child a skilled education like engineering, MBA, MBBS, etc., etc. But there will be urge that women are best suited for pink collarized works like teaching, like nursing, or just a simple graduation and professor, etc., no, masters, etc. You see, no, when I was traveling across this Delhi University campuses, and I went also for some taking of seminars, etc. Once, so I saw that there was a large proportion of girl students in Delhi University, in different colleges which are co-ed. I'm not talking about all women colleges like Gargi or Miranda or LSR. I'm talking about the co-ed colleges. But when I traveled to for my project to IIT Madras, then I saw a skewed sex ratio towards the male. So when I traveled to the college IIT Bombay, so I saw that it was highly skewed towards the male. So this is what is the ground reality. That when they are not skilled, because skill is power in modern era. Any kind of a no, education which is just a bookish education won't give you no, money. In the capitalist era, skill is something which is very, very important. So they are more concentrated in informal sector, informal organization. So gender and informal sector is something you need to prepare hand in hand. Okay. Then forced displacement of labor, deprivation and inequality is something which will come again and again. ठीक है, फोर्स डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ लेबर्स क्या होता है ना, आप देखोगे ना कई बार क्या होता है कि मान लो the persons are working in their own state. Now a caste conflict happened. Like there was a caste conflict which happened in 1990s and I think late 1980s in Bihar. There were different caste senas which were organized, like Ranveer Sena and different senas. Because of that violent upsurge that happened, a lot of people migrated. Forced migration happened from the state of Bihar. Same goes with Assam. There was a lot of migration happened from Assam because of the insurgency. This is called as forced migration. Not only the development, but this is also a disaster. This is also something which you need to prepare. ठीक है, तो इसमें थोड़े से ना you had to prepare or take cue from PLFS ILO report also. आप quote करोगे यहाँ पे, है ना, जो data है you need to quote that as. Post COVID 2020, ना this has gained traction and problems. फिर आता आपका law, policy and social problems. So as I said, law abolishing child labor, has it succeeded? Any question can be asked. Law abolishing dowry, has it succeeded? Law abolishing trafficking, has it succeeded? Anything can be framed in this manner. You need to do the analysis, like data-wise, what has changed, the positive changes, the negative changes, what are the reason of negative changes, what can be done, everything can be discussed in detail, then a conclusion. Okay, and there are lots of case studies. There are lots of case studies and viewpoint of thinkers on all the social problems, all the social problems. Then poverty alleviation schemes after SDG 2015. Poverty alleviation पे तो schemes पे ऐसे भी they will ask you questions. Poverty alleviation schemes. Why? Because poverty is seen from different angles. One is the angle which is called as welfareist angle. One is called as the angle of na, uh, what is called as now Oscar Lewis has given a theory that it is a part of their culture of poverty. Okay, there is a theory given by structural inequality given by I think I'm forgetting the thinker. He's a very big thinker. He has given this concept of structural inequality. So poverty, in a nutshell, is seen from different angles. So these poverty alleviation schemes, if you have to analyze, you have to analyze from different lenses. You have to analyze from different perspective, like perspective of gender, like perspective of subaltern perspective, like from the perspective of also elderly. Okay, so even in elderly, you will see that there is a feminization of elderly. There is a huge number of because of the difference in life expectancy of men and women. There are more numbers of vulnerable elderly women. So you need to prepare that also. Education development as panacea, NEP 2020 reference. Education तो आपको prepare करना ही है. In 2020 also, 23 also, 21 also, either in paper 1, paper 2, there will be question. There was a question straight from Durkheim perspective. Durkheim भी पढ़ रहे हो तो you need to give the contemporary examples and you need to touch upon the NEP also. You need to give the contemporary angle in there also. So there are questions now on schemes, evaluation, Poshan Abhiyan, NEP, MG Manrega. They had asked a lot of questions. Another the dimension is aging and social security. So private and public support system for the aged, challenges for caregiver, trend. Old age is appearing every 2 year, 3 year. I'm not in 3, 4 year, 2, 3 years. I think it is appearing 15, 19. I think 22, 23 also something was related to elderly. So it is something which will surface. And the process of becoming older is called as aging. And there are lots of theories like disengagement theories. Like you grow old, you feel disengaged from the larger society to find meaning in life. Okay. So functionally says that the aging helps in freeing up of the roles for people who can perform them more efficiently. And there are stereotypes also. Okay. There is a role theory also that the human performs various roles in his or her lifetime. There is a theory of different stages of life, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha. Parsons also said that social roles are associated with age groups. Different age groups, there are different social roles. And there is a social exchange theory also. ठीक है, कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस जिसको बोलते हैं. इफ एल्डर्स हैव प्रॉपर्टी दे कीप देम अर्लियर दे कंट्रोल्ड लैंड सो दे वर रिस्पेक्टेड. तो पहले प्रॉपर्टी होती थी, पहले देयर वर ट्रेडिशनल रोल्स, so they were respected. Now what is happening is that neither they are holding any kind of a traditional business people are going for education, they are doing some modern kind of a job. So every now and then they say, will you be able to understand what I'm doing? Will you be able to do the gender? Uh, Not only gender, the what is called as a generation gap is increasing day by day. There, the respect that they hold in a traditional joint family, जहाँ पे एक traditional role होता था या farming activity होती थी and land was owned by the person who was the eldest, so their respect was more. So this you need to understand. These are the basic theories covered in every book. हाँ, और प्रॉब्लम बहुत है इनके में ना फेस करते हैं जनरेशन गैप है जेरियाट्रिक केयर का ये द सिचुएशन दैट इंडिया ओनली हैज 1% ना पीपल ऑन पेंशन जो एल्डरली है एंड not yet achieved the goals of national health policy as well. So the situation is dire. And they are suffering from high prevalence of non-communicable diseases. There is lack of social security. The state of elderly report in India said that every second elderly faces abuse within the family itself. You need to quote all of this. Okay? There's also a concept called as ageism. So the systematic stereotyping and discrimination against individuals on the basis of their age is called as ageism. So this also you will write, and you can use the article of Constitution also when you will be concluding, like Article 41, which talks about elderly care specifically in this question. You need to talk about this. There are certain case studies also which you can quote. Like there is a concept of Switzerland time bank. So younger generation will start to save time by taking care of senior citizens. Later, they will use the saved time when they get old, sick, or in need of someone to take care of them. Okay, and there is a concept of active aging. Active aging is that even if you became old, but your biological age is less, you are healthy. Your participation is more. That helps in even increasing the economy. In Japan, there is a concept of active aging. So there should be health and well-being, and that will lead to participation in socio-economic activities as well. I am discussing this in detail because it is very, very important. Okay, you need to understand this. Then political sociology and mobilization. So social basis of political mobilization in independent India and changes in last 16, 70 years. Again, historical perspective, and this is covered in any of the standard sources. So politics and society is always tested. In 2018, they had asked about secularization. 2020, they had asked about democracy. 2022, they had asked about movement. So you have to utilize certain thinkers. Like Yogendra Yadav has talked at length. Rajni Kothari, a political scientist. Subhas Palishkar, and there are many other. Rajni Kothari is the cornerstone if you want to study. Right? He's a very prominent political scientist, and his theories are very, very relevant for sociology. Again, this thinker, there should be absolute command on Rajni Kothari. Okay? This is very, very important. Now, how to integrate current affairs? Okay. So if you see the nature of questions, the nature of question is not like the question doesn't have any kind of a static relevance. So if you are studying any current affairs which is related to family, ठीक है, तो नोट्स जो आप बनाओगे या जो नोट्स हम दे रहे हैं, ठीक है, उसी नोट्स में आप जो करंट अफेयर्स है टॉपिक वाइज उसी में ना ब्रीफ में ऐड कर दोगे. जैसे कि फैमिली, चेंजिंग पैटर्न ऑफ फैमिली, कोई एग्जाम्पल यू गॉट, ठीक है ना, रिसेंट एग्जाम्पल फ्रॉम आवर सोशियोलॉजी करंट सीरीज मैगजीन, यही ऐड कर लो. थिंकर है, ऐड कर लो यहीं पे कोई, है ना. इफ समथिंग एंटायरली न्यू टॉपिक, अ बिग टॉपिक इज कमिंग, तो यहाँ पे आप जो है एक स्टिकी नोट्स डाल दो, समथिंग, जिससे कि everything is at one place. So classification or addition of any kind of a contemporary or dynamic changes should be done in your own notes. The note should be made based on the previous year question themes, like how we are giving our tests, like how we are asking question, like how we are preparing our notes. It is based on that only. So current series पढ़ना है और add यही करना है, ठीक है. You have to add here only. The concept of trad husband कहाँ लग सकता है? Changing pattern of family, ठीक है. सो वहीं पे ऐड हो जाएगा सब. क्वेश्चन भी won't come in a manner that they are just asking you a question in which no static things will be applied. तो जैसे I have told ना, this is the subdivision. आप डेवलपमेंट पढ़ रहे हो तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट कंटिन्यूटी में आता है. दो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट हैज नाउ बिकम स्टैटिक. It cannot be said that it is a dynamic topic because from 10 years, 10 years at least, it is very, very relevant. SDG goals. जब से गोल्स आ गए, ऐसे तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट वाज टॉक्ड इन द ईयर 1972 itself. ठीक है. Now, one thing which is very, very important is that the current affairs magazine that you are reading will give you a lot of examples. Will also tell you what is now coming in news can be asked by sociology. So it is very, very important. So you need to understand this. ऐसे अंडरस्टैंड नहीं करना, उसका स्टैटिक थ्योरी भी पढ़नी है और तब इसको पढ़ना है. इसीलिए व्हाट आई से इज दैट इफ यू वांट टू रीड आई सोशियोलॉजी करंट सीरीज मैगजीन, don't study it now. First complete the section A and B, and also in section C, what are the static things covered. Then and then only you will be able to understand the use of that, where you can add. They won't ask you question now what has happened in China now recently in terms of changing kinship pattern. They will ask you a general question. How has modernization impacted the global family system? You will be utilizing the example or the thinker or the data from the sociology current series magazine. Yes, there will be some questions like now I will be covering relevance of marriage in the present time, but that is static only. Okay, some updation you can do from Sociology Current Series magazine. I tell it static only because something which is coming again and again in last 10 years, popping up again and again in last year has become static. Okay, if the the material, the coachings, the books are not inculcating that, then that is their fault. But UPSC is saying that it has become part of your syllabus. Okay, so this is how you need to approach. So in sociology paper 2, the covering of entire syllabus, covering of previous year question themes. When I say syllabus, the keywords, every keyword should be prepared. Previous year questions, important themes which we are providing you, the notes that should be prepared. Okay, and if you have your own notes also, please, please, please refer our previous year question notes. Please refer our model answer once you write the test. It has lots of orders. It has lots of things. If you are making handwritten notes, I'm telling you again and again, if this is your notes, on the right hand side, ठीक है, ये लेफ्ट हैंड साइड हुआ राइट हैंड साइड में द एंटायर पेज का 30% कीप इट एज मार्जिन. जैसे कुछ भी यू हैव टू ऐड और यू हैव टू मेक दिस समरी ऑफ दैट 70% कंटेंट in 30% for revision, you can make it here. ठीक है. I want from all of you a notes which is one point source. इधर से कुछ उधर से कुछ, something here something there will be a lots of trouble, है ना, in terms of utilizing knowledge as well. तो क्लासिफिकेशन करना बहुत जरूरी है, एंड इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू प्रिपेयर इन अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड मैनर. Even the sociology paper 2 is completely arrestable if you are preparing in a manner which is oriented towards what UPSC is indicating. Our test is completely oriented towards what UPSC is indicating. We can also give fancy questions. Nationalization of banks, people are asking questions. Any kind of a question they are asking. But we are sticking to what UPSC is pointing to us because we want you to succeed in this examination, because we want you to come out of the cycle. Because that is why such a less number of student I take. But you will see every year 8, 9, 10 people. Last year 17 people came out victorious in this examination with such a less number of enrollment from my side, because I am pointing out to you the correct thing which will help you. And I'm taking less number of students because I want to give 100% attention. I have also a strong team of 24 people. I have so many people whom I can assign things, but I want to lead this and don't become part of the mainstream institutions. That is why our enrollments are fixed 25, 30, 35. Specifically in optional, I'm not taking much students because it is a technical subject and checking copies also take a lot of time here. Huh? If you compare it with general study, which can be tackled by a person who is also a bit less experienced, because there is not need of depth. But in optional, it is a technical subject and it is not easy to check copies. It is not easy to teach. It is something which is technical and demands great depth. So this is something which I'm tackling now solely with just the help of one or two content writers who have a massive experience, with the help of the experts who have worked for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years at different institutions, have massive hardworking attitude, passionate peoples are working for you. So that is why there will be complete involvement specifically in optional. I'm not adding any other mentor also here. In 1-to-1, I had added one mentor. In prelims also, I will add some more experts, but not in optional. This will be a complete involvement from my side. All the sessions, all the things, all the copies will be checked by personally by me. Now I will stop the sharing the screen and I will take your doubts one by one. Ashish, any doubt?
No, sir, nothing as such. I have one doubt regarding one pager notes, sir. And basically, you are providing the revision notes.
Hmm.
I'm thinking to integrate in that only.
Yes, yes. Integrate that, or you can make it that as base also. You can add from your own notes in that notes, or you can add from our notes in your own notes. There is complete freedom. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Manogna, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Shatabdi, any doubt?
No, sir.
Tanu, any doubt?
No, sir.
I hope there is absolute clarity. What is important in sociology paper 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this should be your approach. Are all the tests, are all the notes, everything will be oriented towards it. Okay. To make your life easier, to make your struggle a bit less, because the struggle is huge. You as parents have to juggle with a lots of subjects and lots of physical and mental toil. So my job is to make your life easier, and I will try my 100% to give my 100% and make your life easier. Thank you very much. Take care. Best wishes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.